Good morning, my name's Amanda Brown and welcome to this short webinar on Content is King, making the most of your online content using social media. Now, many of you will spend a lot of hours writing detailed articles or white papers on a particular topic. They may be several pages long and several thousand words. What I'm going to do in this webinar is to show you how to make the best of that hard work and use the content you've already created to share many times on social media. Here at Altera, I'm responsible for writing several blogs and ensuring that the content there is shared on social media across my clients' platforms. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to use an article which I wrote earlier on in the year. The article is called 5 Social Media Trends for 2014, The Challenges for Marketeers. Now, this was written as a blog post. It was 3 sides of A4 and is just over 1,000 words long. I purposely wrote it in 7 sections, and we'll see how important this is to chunk it down later on in the webinar. It currently has just one image. This is because it was mainly an information piece. It was also written as a newsletter for an email campaign. So you can see that if you write a long blog post, you've already got something to share as a newsletter to your readers. It was also part of a series of 4 detailed pieces. We don't usually write very in-depth blog posts here, but at the beginning of the year we decided that it was a good idea to write some detailed pieces to send out to people. So we're going to use this particular article as the basis for the information I'm going to present to you today. So these are the sections of the article. Now, it's really a good idea to think about how you write for reading on the screen. So if you've written your article for print, when you come to repurpose it as a series of blog posts, you need all that it's much less dense, that you break the information up more. So the sections that I have here were highlights, so that's like a summary, tell people what you're going to talk about, then talk about it, and then provide a conclusion. So this is the highlights section. Then the background. 2013 was the year of content creation, and the 5 main points within the article were visibility versus content, play, companies will leverage LinkedIn company pages, Google Plus should be used to support search engine optimization, and then a section about visual content. I was concluding then about the importance of having an integrated social media strategy. Now, obviously, the sections of your articles may be 5 long, they may be 10 long, depending on the subject matter that you're talking about. So it's a good idea to break your article down into chunks of maybe 300 or 400 words that can be, in essence, used as blog posts. So you have a printed article that you're then going to use many times as blog posts. So in my highlights, I've got this chunk down into another series of pieces of information. So this is just the first section, and you would have a subject matter here which would introduce your topic. So expand your topics in more detail with an image or 2 to create 4 or more blog posts. So if your subsections are quite small, then you'll need to expand them. If they're quite long, then you'll need to cut them down. So your article is going to be divided up into 4 or more blog posts. Now, obviously, they have to make sense in their own right. By publishing them as a blog post, you then have a URL. And this is important. You need this when you're going to share. And it's really nice to have an image for sharing on social media, because that image highlights your post. So if you don't have an image, it will just show up as a sentence with a link. The image attracts people, and we'll see this later on. So if we're looking at the section that I wrote pay to play, I can then further chunk that down. So this is only a section in my original article. I can then highlight a number of key points that I'm going to use, say, as my LinkedIn posts. This means I'm not having to think every morning, what am I share on LinkedIn today? So I would highlight something like these sections here. So I've underlined, this penalises those companies who were late to the party. Now, in essence, that makes very little sense. So I would rewrite that saying something like, if you haven't set up your Facebook page, then you might be interested in this article. And then the link go to this particular blog post. Then we'd have another one. I've underlined, Facebook and Twitter are forcing the pay-to-play model with pay-per-click. Now that actually probably is quite eye-catching. Got some strong words in there. Pay-to-play is something people might not know about, and they might then be interested in clicking through and seeing what the article's all about. Now, this section of my original article is quite short, so if I were to put this as a blog post, I'd have it somewhat longer than that. Maybe some examples of adverts on Facebook that encourage people to then click through. So I haven't got any images on this section. So I found an image here to add, and I've also given my article a URL, so I've posted this. Now this is easy, obviously, if you have access to your blog. So if you run a blog and you're using WordPress, then obviously adding another post is relatively simple. You need to have access to your blogs, and that's a subject for another webinar. So this one, I've got an image I found on a royalty-free website. Now don't just copy images straight off Google, because you're actually likely to get that and then fined. Make sure that you go to a royalty-free website or purchase an image, or if you're handy with a camera, then take an image yourselves. So we've created this, so our article is now up on, well, it isn't, but it would be up on altera-consulting.co.uk/Facebook pay to play, and I have the image there to insert as well. So if I were to go to LinkedIn, I'm then going to type in, Facebook are favouring companies prepared to pay for visibility, and a link to that URL, and then up will come my post with my image, and LinkedIn will capture the image, and then you'll be able to share that. So I would then repeat that several times. So I'm going to repeat it with 4 other comments to the same blog post. Now you'd say, oh well, that's spamming people. Well, the likelihood of people actually seeing your posts is dependent upon whether they're on the social media platform of choice at the particular time you actually, you actually put that post up. Also, this means that you can post that particular update to your LinkedIn company page. Your followers are not necessarily on your company page going to be the same people as those people who follow you personally. You can see with the paperclip that you can actually attach the full article here. So that means that you can drive interested people to your detailed article. Once you've shared this on your update stream, you can also share it with individuals and into groups that you're a member of on LinkedIn. So in this instance, one blog post becomes 10 LinkedIn updates. So that's one blog post, and then you're going to share it 5 times to your personal profile and 5 times to your company page. Now obviously you can do this at different times of the day if you feel that there's any danger that there's crossover in your audience. Similarly, you can do the same thing with Facebook, Twitter and Google+. So therefore, each of your LinkedIn updates becomes 6 Facebook, Twitter and Google posts. And don't forget to change your image for Facebook and Google Plus each time you share it. So you can upload different images for Facebook. You don't have to have the image, or you can suppress the image if you haven't got time to find a new image. So that's a little bit technical. You can ask me about that. I mean, once you're on there, it becomes obvious. Now you could make a quick video of your particular blog post, and like I'm doing now, you could do this as a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, there's two main methods of creating a video. The first is to create a slide share, which you use YouTube to create. So a photo slideshare, this is called. You can see on this screen you've got webcam capture, photo slideshare, Google Hangout, and then you can edit your video that you've already done by using YouTube. So not many people know that you can use YouTube to actually create a video as well as promote a video. So that's one way of doing it. The second way, which is the way I'm using it, is to use a PowerPoint presentation and a piece of software called Camtasia, and I've put the link up here. So the company is called TechSmith, and they have various products, and one of them excuse me, that I'm using here is called Camtasia. It's an industry standard piece of software. It's pretty simple to use once you get the hang of it. If you're using PowerPoint, you install a plugin to PowerPoint, and that will allow you to record from within PowerPoint. As I said before, ensure you use royalty-free images and use bullet points to help people navigate and follow you through your presentation. A good source of royalty-free images is Pixabay. I've got the link up here. You can use those at your leisure, that's absolutely fine. And you're going to have a decent USB microphone. The one I'm using here is from Samsung, and I'll put in the notes accompanying this video a link to this particular microphone. Then you'll save it as an MP4, and then you can upload that to YouTube. That will give you a URL on YouTube, which you can then share once again on your social media platforms. So you've turned an element of your blog post into yet another medium, very easily without having to think about the content. You could also just record your voice. In fact, smartphones or tablets have very good recording software apps you can use. You could use Camtasia on a PC or laptop and just record your voice. Or if another piece of software you can use which is free is called Audacity for a PC. And if you're using a Mac, you can use GarageBand. And here you're going to save it as an MP3. This could then be put on your website, for instance. You might need some separate hosting to do that, and what I would recommend there is to use a hosting service for your voice called Libsynth. It's Liberated syndication, a terrible name for a company, but it's shortened to LIBSYN, which is LIBSYN. If you type that into Google, up will come that. And once again, if you need help with that, I can give you a hand with that. You might need to put your voice through leveling software as well. So another place you could put your slideshow, because you've now created a short PowerPoint, and I'm meaning short, I'm only meaning a few minutes. You could actually open a SlideShare account. Now, SlideShare I thought was going to be a lot more popular than it actually is. Although if you're looking for information and you're typing a subject into Google, you may well find people's slideshows coming up. It will say SlideShare and then / the name of the company. So don't ignore SlideShare. It's a good place to load your slides, and you can load either slides without voice, or you can load a recording over the top of them. And the main advantage of this is that you can capture leads from this. Now, obviously, you need more detail about this on another occasion, but this is another platform where you can actually share content. SlideShare is owned by LinkedIn, so I suspect they've got plans for it, like they have for their own platform. So, making the most of your content. What we can see is that one article can be subdivided into 4 blog posts. You're going to share 20 LinkedIn updates from your personal profile and 20 for your company page. You might further subdivide those updates into 40 tweets. Twitter is fast moving. The likelihood of people seeing that tweet, again, think about the size of your audience and how engaged they are. 40 Facebook posts with a different image each time. Similarly on Google+, which has SEO benefits, you're going to share maybe that 40 times. You could make 4 videos out of your 4 blog posts and 4 audios. For those of you who like this sort of thing, you could create a whole podcast episode out of your blog post and create 4 slide shares. And people who have a graphic designer on board, maybe turn each of your blog posts into an infographic. And of course that will depend particularly on the subject matter. Where you've got lots of data, maybe an infographic would be a good idea. So the main objective in sharing your content is to gain somebody's email address. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get people to take action, and you're trying to find their contact information, and SlideShare can help you do that. And LinkedIn, of course, if somebody's clicked through, you will have their contact information attached to their profile. You are showcasing your expertise and developing brand awareness. This method is particularly useful if you're launching a product or if you're advertising an event. You can create a buzz around that launch of a product, and also you can tell people up-to-date information about your event happening. So your next steps. I would highly advise you to plan your content calendar for the coming months, maybe 3 months out, so that you'll know what you're going to write about, unless it's just going to be the newsworthy, in which case planning is not going to be possible. Think when you're writing your content about your audience, what platform you're going to share it on, the actual detail of the content, and the frequency with which you're going to share that content. So this is one model I've shown you. You may want to adapt it because it's too frequent, or you may want to say, well, actually we're attending this trade show. I want to create a real buzz about the stand we're having at this show. I'm going to actually write about what we're doing for the show, and I'm going to up the frequency for this particular period of time. So keep in touch with me. If you've got any questions about these ideas, then please give me a call on either of the numbers below, or send me an email, which is amanda@altera-consulting.co.uk. Thanks so much for listening.